If she had only been ugly, we would still be together.
There's Joe Rogan over there doing his email, checking his messages. He's got 5 million messages today. His fans are all around the world.
Up and away in my
Beautiful
beautiful balloon.
Wow, what are you, Barry Diamond?
Da, 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 da. I was just talking to someone the other day about the store. It was Tony Hinchcliffe, and he was telling me that Barry Diamond still does that song.
Does
he
he
still
really?
goes up, does the whole song.
I remember Walking in Memphis. I don't remember that song.
That's the song. No, I meant the other song.
Oh, Walking in Memphis?
Yeah, the Walking in Memphis.
Oh, yeah,
song.
yeah.
He does the same song. I've never heard him do another song. Have you?
Yeah, he's done some Bruce.
Oh, really?
Bruce Springsteen. Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing because the look on the audience's face where they're like, is there a joke
I know.
coming?
He can sing, though.
He's a good singer. But he starts off a show, gets a nice clap.
I don't know if he's still mad at me. But he kind of tapped me on the butt, and I said hi to him, and that was it the other night. He wasn't doing a spot. I think he came in for his check.
He tapped you on the butt.
Well, you know.
Like a football type thing?
Very gentle.
A gentle
Very
sports?
gentle
Not a gay thing.
No, just like a...
Just like a
It almost was in slow motion. I seen his hand cup my cheek.
comforting thing. I guess he's not mad at you anymore. Because if he was,
He'd kill me.
punch you right in the asshole. He wouldn't just tap you on the
in my
buttocks.
two jabs at the taint and a cross to the asshole.
Ouchie.
Joe Rogan, my friend, good to
Dom
see you.
Irrera, my friend, always a pleasure.
Look what you do.
Look what you do.
Look what you do for me coming all the way in from your palatial estate.
My friend, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you. Always.
Joseph, what's funny to you? Remember,
Dom Irrera, you're funny to me.
Started asking questions like that.
Oh, Jamie?
How do you
Buddy, how do joke work for you?
You know he was a comedian?
Jamie was?
If you've seen his act, that's why he's a club owner.
Wow.
His best joke was, they've heard it here, somebody told him to go to an animal psychiatrist, and he said, why would I want to tell him my troubles to a German Shepherd? That's his best joke.
It's not a bad joke.
Well, I think I did it better than he does. just by accident.
just by speaking English.
Yeah. Now you think it's funny that he's my manager?
Is he?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Well,
Got a great club.
I love having a manager that can't speak English. I think it just shows my disdain for the business.
One of my favorite Dom Irrera lines ever is you go, I wish I was gay just so I could come out of the closet.
It's true. They have some excitement in my life.
That's how little I give a fuck.
Yeah, I can't even get in that kind of shape. I can't get in gay shape.
That's true. Unless you're a very rich guy, being gay means you have to be very slim. Gay guys are they're very superficial.
Well, that's what cracks you up. People go, hey, fucking faggot, I'll smack him around. Yeah, the guy works out every day for 4 hours. I don't think so.
Yeah, you can run marathons. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You'll take a couple swings, you'll hit air, and you start hopping and puffing, and then he'll tune you up. Joey Diaz has a great story about when he was young, when he was a criminal type character. He mugged gay guys.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and one gay
guy
guy
that in my neighborhood.
beat the holy shit out of him.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great story.
Oh, cool.
It's so funny.
I never understood that antipathy for them.
Well, he was doing it just for money. He was mugging them.
I can't imagine Joe being mean.
Yeah.
It was like a different person.
Yeah, I mean, he grew up in a bad way. You know, his family was gone by the time he was, in high school.
Oh, really?
Both parents are dead. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was he came home on acid. I believe he was 13 years old. He found his mother dead on the floor.
On acid?
Yeah.
Like a vault.
Yeah, it's heavy shit. So, and he was adopted by his high school friend's family, which is very nice. They took him in, took care of him, but he had a hard life. It wasn't easy.
What's cool about seeing him hitting it and getting some notoriety is that he really appreciates it.
He really does. Yeah.
I mean, Justin Bieber was on stage here the other night. He wanted Chris D'Elia to lay into him.
Really?
Yeah, because he wants to do stand-up, but he doesn't know how to approach it, so he came up just as a punching bag and with his leather pants on and the whole thing. And I was thinking, if he only knew what a long way it is between being famous and being a great stand-up.
Yeah.
You know, I think they look at stand-ups and think, "Fuck, I could do that. I'm funny with with all my laugh monkeys."
Well, also I feel like they think when someone's hit great heights, whether it's in music or anything else, they feel like I can figure things out. I just get me in there and I can figure it out. He figured out music. Music's not easy to figure out. He figured that out. He feels like he's a funny guy. He had some funny, didn't he have that Dick in a Box thing on Saturday Night Live? Wasn't that him?
That was Justin Timberlake.
Oh, what's the difference? Are they the same? Justin Bieber, is that what you're saying?
Bieber, yeah.
Oh, different. Young.
Younger and not
I
in
get
that group.
confused.
That's good.
Justin's.
You know what, Joe? It's healthy that you get confused. It's healthy that you don't know everything about those guys.
Bieber's the younger, cuter
I would
one.
be
with
so
the more
disappointed if you
slender.
knew everything about them.
He's the more twink-like of the two.
Timberlake's funny, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Timberlake on stage. But Bieber, he's a young kid. He could figure it out. I mean, it's a long goddamn road. It's 10 years before you're any good.
Oh, yeah. He was here one night, and he's sitting up there, and I figured just leave him alone, right?
Right.
His manager asked Jamie to ask me if I could get him some attention. I'm thinking, how much fucking attention do you need? He's got about 10 million people on his Twitter.
That's ridiculous. What kind of a stupid manager does he have?
I don't know, but the kid wanted it, and then he wanted to interact with me, and we're going back and forth a little.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. This has really changed a lot, this place, since they closed off the top of the back, where you can sit in back and watch it on the monitors.
It's nice, ain't it?
Yeah, because people can go up there and have conversations. They don't interrupt the show. Because it used to be the balcony was notorious for interrupting the show.
Yeah.
But now everybody feels included.
Well, I'm glad you come back, because I know you got some mixed feelings about this place.
At one point in time, Mr. Irrera, the place was a den of thieves.
A den of thieves.
It was a veritable swashbucklers convention. You would come here and, oh, God, you would hear your bits done in strange ways. Little pieces would be altered. And there was a bunch of guys out of here that, and we don't need to name any names, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need to name any names.
This is the name. This is the place you name names.
It's not just that guys came out of here, but they also started taking these younger guys on the road with them. And then the younger guys started developing reputations of being thieves, too. I mean,
Who was the guy that used to take people and steal their material?
That guy.
Carlos?
No, what's his name? Whatever. There was quite a few of them. In the 90s, it was bad here. The 90s was when I made my decision to stop coming here. I did a few spots here in the early 2000s.
This is a good promo for the Laugh Factory.
But I'm coming back now because
know.
of you, Dom Irrera.
Thank you, brother.
Well, it's just Jamie, I think, is an optimist.
Yeah, he
and,
is.
you would tell him, hey, Jamie, this guy's stealing people's material. Buddy, this is not possible. This buddy, he
good
have
guy.
a joke.
Yeah. Everybody's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But, buddy, I was there while he saw this thing happen to him. He saw what happened, and he created a joke right there after that, buddy.
Did I ever tell you about him in New York? We went to a bar. You know how he forgets that he's not in his fiefdom?
Right.
And you can't talk to people that way? We're in a bar, about 3 blocks. He was 42nd and 8th. Big black guy with a 49er jacket on. He goes, hey, you faggot, buddy. You faggot. Right? And the guy goes, he stands up. He looks like a linebacker. He goes, what'd you say, motherfucker? And Jamie looks at him. I go, listen, man, there's something wrong with him. He's challenged. And the guy goes, oh, okay. They're really nice about it.
Right.
But, oh, my God.
Why would he say that?
Because he's trying to be funny, but he doesn't get that. Do you miss him today? Isn't it?
No, I won't do it with him anymore.
No.
I'll give the guy a hug if I see him, but if you tell me to do a podcast with him, I don't need that kind of punishment.
Well, you know who really hates it is Bobby Lee.
Oh, I'm sure.
A couple guys like it, but
Who-
Bill
wh-
Burr likes it.
Why does Bill like it?
Because so he can bust Jamie's balls. Because Bill still resents the fact that Jamie passed him and didn't give him spots, and he moved back to
Really?
New York. So
Wow.
I'm thinking it's inspirational. It made him drive harder.
Please, it just shows you what a knucklehead Jamie is. How the fuck do you not see that Bill Burr's funny?
You think he's funny?
The look at your face is perfect.
He's
You
funny.
sold it. Huh? Really?
He's as good as it gets. That's what I was
yeah.
telling you about the level thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get Sammy Maudlin on you, but right now, after seeing your stand-up, you're at that level where all it is taste. You know what I mean? Like who you like better. There's no better. Like one guy, you and Bill are good examples. Neither one of you is better than the other in the sense of whatever you're like. It's like music. Some people, when I was growing up, they like the Beatles. Some people like the Rolling Stones. But there's a point where you just get that good.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, especially because although we're best friends and we have been for a long time, you've always been one of my favorite comedians. I think I've paid to see you. I've told the story a million times, but I paid to see you way before I ever got on stage.
It's funny. Isn't that funny? We didn't meet that time. Someday, you and I, we're going to work together.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I had never even done open mics when I paid to see you.
Were you with a chick?
Yeah, I was on a date. I think I probably got some because of you, Dom. I went to see you twice. Here's a great story. The first time I went to see
Was
you,
this Nick's?
you weren't there. Yeah, you missed your flight or something, or there was a confusion. Maybe I fucked up and I thought you were there that night, but you were there the next night. And Dennis Leary was there instead. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Where's Dom Irrera? Yeah. And Leary fucking destroyed. It was when Leary was just moving from Boston to New York and just starting to pilfer Bill Hicks's material.
Yeah.
He was just starting to develop that character. And god damn was he a fucking murderer. He was really good at the time. I didn't know all the controversy until I started talking to the local guys.
Yeah, I didn't either.
This was before I had ever done comedy.
Yeah.
I was like 6 months into my open mic career when I found out about the plagiarism accusations and all that jazz.
But Dennis's thing was his strengths were his looks and his attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And he was capable of. I'm not saying he did because I really don't know enough. And Bill was a friend of mine.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, if you say he did, I mean,
he did. It's not just that. It's universal. I saw many examples of it. It wasn't just one guy he did it from. I think this is the reason why a lot of those guys, they stopped doing stand-up. A lot of those guys, they just abandoned it. Whereas a guy like you, still trucking and still creating new stuff, some guys, they just abandon it. They just walk away from it,
Well, I'm trying, Joe. I'm trying. It's fucking hard. People think it gets easier. To me, it's almost like songwriting in the sense that, this love song was written about. Like doing stand-up now. So many thoughts have been put out into the universe. I'm thinking, how do I get an original one?
Right. I think the only way it works for me is if I write blogs, I write essays, whatever, and not intending to write comedy, just write about things. And then because I'm spending so much time, like if I'm writing an essay and it's a couple thousand words, I'm spending 5 or 6 hours on that fucking thing. And in that 5 or 6 hours, there might be a minute. There might be something in that. You know?
Well, you have a certain morbidity that I have, in the sense that when you said that thing about the universe, and about how little control we really have on this planet, just spinning through time and space.
Yeah, it's about people saying that pot makes you paranoid.
And I'm thinking, I was thought, man, that I really think that.
Yeah.
I really think, how do people get cocky when we have no idea from this moment till the next that the Earth isn't going to fall out of its elliptical orbit and just start racing towards the sun? We don't, who knows how the fuck it works?
Well, not only that, it's not going to last. None of it's going to last. You're not going to last. The Earth's not going to last. The sun's not going to last.
I'm already done.
I think it's the finite aspect of it. In some ways, it's a gift because it lets you really appreciate it. Like there's an extra feeling of excitement to it that we're experiencing it right now, and that I think that it's easy to get cocky and get confused if you're not challenged and you're in sort of a rigid environment and drive the same way to work every day and you're in an office and everybody in the office has to listen to you or whatever it is. You can get confused and think that you are something special.
And this is so important. And
but the bottom line is we're temporary things on a planet.
How much do you credit martial arts to your success?
I think probably a lot. A lot for developing who I don't want to say who I am, but the expression I always use is developing human potential. I think what martial arts did for me is it gave me confidence that I could do something that's really difficult, which gave me confidence to do stand-up. I know it did. Because martial arts was fucking terrifying. The idea of fighting and competing was always terrifying.
Yeah.
And stand-up was pretty terrifying, too, at first. And then became more challenging, more psychologically terrifying, even sometimes than fighting.
Yeah.
But fighting was always much more physically
Well, you could control
dangerous.
fighting more, I think.
Yeah, well, the other thing about fighting is I didn't need anybody's approval. I didn't want them to like me. I didn't give a fuck. When I would go to a tournament and it would be, in a gymnasium or wherever they would hold it, I would purposely go to sleep. I would lie down and I did it for first of all as a message to everybody else. And I'm so relaxed about this that I'm just going to go to sleep in front of everybody. And then two, it helped me sort of just get into my own self. Like I wasn't there to make a crowd laugh or have them like me over the middle act or be more original than the next guy. All I was there to do was beat everybody who's in front of me.
Well, you were fighting. This wasn't UFC then.
No. It was mostly Taekwondo tournaments, which are these full contact striking tournaments where you're allowed to kick full contact to the head and to the body, but you're only allowed to punch to the body. So it made for a lot of
Oh, you're only allowed to punch body?
Yeah, in those tournaments, because it made for a lot of crazy head kick knockouts. Though that was the idea behind it, was they thought it was too easy to punch someone in the face, and it was very hard to kick someone in the face. So they wanted to emphasize the kicking aspect of Taekwondo in those tournaments. It makes for a very limited martial arts style though, because it's so easy to punch someone in the face. It's really the best thing to learn is to use your hands, because you're standing on your feet, you have better balance.
Yeah.
But if you develop the kicking first and then develop the punching and all that stuff afterwards and add to it, you have kicking that no one else has, because the dexterity that those Taekwondo guys have is just outrageous.
It seems to me that it would be hard to get power from a side kick. Like, how do they get the most power out of a kick?
Well, all kicks, the big thing is repetition. And it's way easier to develop power from a kick if you're a person who is not a physically explosive person than it is a hand. Because obviously, your legs are much larger. They're carrying your body all day. Everyone's legs are powerful. If you take a small woman, she's 100 pounds. Her body's carrying around on those two legs, carrying 100 pounds all day long. You can't do that with your arms. It's the strongest man in the world couldn't carry 100 pounds on his arms all day. He would get exhausted. But you could walk up a mountain. You could walk for 5-6 hours on your legs. So if you teach someone proper technique and repetition, it's all about speed of delivery, repetition, and clean technique. Transferring your weight into the power at the exact same time. So boom, popping your hips into the technique. And it's all about doing it over and over and over and over and over again until it just gets laser sharp. That's how you get power in any martial arts technique.
You said something interesting about being terrorized.
Yeah.
Because people forget, fighters, obviously, it's as trite as it sounds, are human beings. And I remember when Mike Tyson talked about how he fought out of fear.
Yeah.
He was terrified. And I think that's why he tried to knock somebody out so quickly. Part of it was, I just want to get this fucking over with so I don't get hurt.
There's a lot of that, and that's something that you actually have to work on too if you're fighting a really dangerous guy. Like, you can't do that, because if you unload on him and you run out of gas, you're in a really bad place. The worst place to be in is being there with a dangerous guy and you don't have any gas in your tank.
Oh, boy.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
I've fought before when I was sick, and I just didn't have any endurance, and it was a horrible feeling. And I had to go out to the second round. I wound up getting stopped. It was the last kickboxing fight that I had. And I got stopped in the second round. I had nothing left.
They stopped it on a TKO?
Yeah, it was the third fight that I had in a day. I won the first fight by knockout.
You were sick?
I was sick, yeah. I won the second fight is a decision that I won pretty easy. And then I had a long break, like an hour and a half between then and the finals. And I got into the finals, and my body was just broken. And this guy was dangerous, man.
I would love to have seen you fight.
He was swinging hard.
You got any videos of that?
There's a video of me knocking a guy out on the internet, a Taekwondo tournament. I hit him with a spinning back kick, and he goes flying through the air. It's pretty crazy.
Cool.
So it looks fake because it's so perfect. It's like the referee says start. The guy moves towards me, and then when the second, he's flying through the air. It was really fast. It was a fast result.
What's the last fight you were in?
It was 89, the kickboxing bout. That was the last competition thing. That was when I was doing comedy as well. I was doing stand-up, and I was kickboxing at the same time. It might have actually still been 88. It might have been like late 88. But I was doing too many different things.
It's funny, when I met you, my first recollection of you was in Montreal. Always liked you, but I thought, this kid's intense. He's got something different to him. You know what I mean? Like, there was a quiet confidence about you. And I never, and who knows how your paths are going to take. We end up shooting pool together, being friends. But I remember very clearly, because you were on Full Frontal Comedy.
Yeah, I was on your show. Yeah, in Montreal at Club Soda, right?
Yeah. Which
is now something else. There's a new name.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. But the Club Soda moved downtown into the whore district. Did I tell you about the whore that's been after me?
This whore's been after you?
Yeah.
Like, angry?
No, good.
Trying to get some.
Obsessive.
Oh.
My ex-wife does my Facebook, right? And so everything goes through her. I don't do any. I never even see it. I do my own Twitter, but This girl writes a thing. Some girl came up to me a couple weeks ago. She said, "Can I kiss you?" I go, "Yeah." Comes to kiss me, and then she runs away. She's really hot, right? So I get a thing from my wife. She goes, "This fucking nut girl wrote to you and says that she wants to exchange sexual favors for comedy wisdom." And she says, "I tore it up." I go, "Lisa, you really shouldn't tear that stuff up. You know, I'd like to see it at least." She goes, "But she sounded like a whore." I go, "But that's the good part." You know what I mean? Anyway, long story short, she's been like fucking writing me these things.
Your ex-wife tore it up? Like, how do you tear up something on
whatever,
Facebook?
you know, I mean, whatever.
She printed it and symbolically ripped it apart.
No, well, that's, you know how fucking retarded I am. I said to one of the guys here, I go, "How do I Google you back?" He goes, "That's not even a question."
How do I Google you back?
I'm a little.
That is funny. A little behind the curve
behind.
technologically.
I'm trying, man.
Do you write it all on a computer?
I did, but I lost everything, so I got paranoid. Because what I do is I write everything twice. You know, like
Right.
I write it in a notebook, but I write it again in another notebook that doesn't leave the house because I've lost too many notebooks over the years.
Oh, that's smart.
And and also it helps you remember the material better.
Yeah, I agree. Writing things down on paper for me is big. One of the things I love about this new phone I got this thing, it's called a Note, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. And it's this huge cell phone. It's fucking gigantic. And it's got this one program in it where you write things. It's called S-Note, and you actually write. Like I write my notes. Look at this.
Oh, that's great.
It's a notebook. I mean, and you could put pages and pages. So when I get
that's the only place this material is, though.
Right now, but it
Yeah.
saves it, it backs it up, it sends it to me as an email.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's
That
on
way.
my Gmail. It gets backed up to my Gmail,
Yeah.
and it also gets backed up to another program called Evernote. But it's amazing. I mean, you write it with this pen. And
I used to do something very similar to that picture. I don't want to say steal. I'm just saying, if you ever see me doing it.
Inside comedy jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you know what? One of the things that's fascinating about your career is you are your own career. Nobody has your career. I mean, I know,
Yeah.
like there are other people. Like I had Spade on here, and David has an incredible sitcom life. Occasional movie, Saturday Night Live, but his path is pretty like normal for success. You know, but you are all. I mean, it's amazing. Like you made your own choices. You dictate to the world what you're going to do. I mean, the fact that you got like millions of followers is incredible.
Well,
I mean,
I just got lucky that the things I enjoy also made a job. You know?
Yeah, well,
like,
I mean, like Fear Factor.
Yeah.
Totally different than the Joe that I know. I mean, I never knew you to be like, you know, a guy like say, "Come here, you got to see this. We're going to eat an eye." You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, it was you had the balls to do it and be right in the middle of it, but also. You're announcing, and I told you this, and I don't mean to make it the Sammy Maudlin show, but I'm into sports. Your announcing is as good, as, if not better than anybody else. You're so fucking excited, and you're so real, and you're so interesting, and you break it down. I told you, John Gruden on Monday Night Football. I don't know I watch football. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. We got the A gap here and the B. You know, I'm sure you have technical shit you could say that only other fighters would know. But you break it down for regular people.
Well, I think there's a lot of sports guys that like to keep things with the inside lingo. You know, I've heard guys say things and like, I don't understand football. I don't know the rules, so I don't watch too much football.
Yeah.
So when I'm watching someone break down football, when they start talking about the gap and throwing to the end zone and he's either got to move the 4-6 to the 5 and
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, but I watch it and I don't
Right.
know a lot.
I
When
think-
somebody like him.
There's guys that try to do that with MMA. I've heard some like guys who also do sports talk about MMA and they try to break MMA down too, and that's sort of like weird inside. It's almost like they want it to be hard to understand.
Yeah, of
because,
course.
You know what I mean?
That's what makes them special.
It makes them look like a
Yeah.
real analyst.
Right.
Because it's hard to understand. What I want to do when I'm doing commentary is I want to explain this to a person who's never grappled a day in their life.
That's what that comes across. That,
So when I'm showing a guy passing a guard, going into a dominant position, setting up a submission, I want to talk you through the whole thing. Like his arm is in jeopardy. Watch his right leg. As soon as his right leg goes across his neck, that's when this guy's fucked.
Yeah.
And when I do it, I do it because I want more people to be excited about it the way I'm excited about it. And the reason why I'm excited about it, is because I've seen it 1,000 times. I've done it. I know what's going to happen, and I know how hard it is to do. It all comes together in the description, you know.
Well,
But
when you invited me to that place in Montreal, and that guy, the Montreal's #1 fighter.
Oh, George St. Pierre, yeah.
That was so fucking exciting. It reminded me of like King Kong, the movie before Kong came to the fence. Oh, They were like, it was fucking, and they were really nice. That's the thing that's interesting. I don't know whether it's because the tickets are expensive, but I find the people something like if you you ever go to professional wrestling?
Yes.
Fucking,
yes.
they're all cross-eyed, skate on his face. You know, they're fucking crazy. Hit him with the point. Hit him with the point. But like that crowd at the, it's really nice people.
Well, Montreal's great, period. You know,
Yeah.
Montreal has great crowds for comedy. They're great. It's a beautiful city. It's incredibly cold in the winter, but
Yeah,
goddamn,
no,
it's
I
a
love it.
great city.
I might go there this summer. You gonna go, or do you know?
For the festival, I don't know. Maybe I can if I have the time. I would love
It'd
to
be
go
fun
back.
to go up there together.
Yeah, I would. I haven't been back in a long time, like just to do the festival. But it's one of my favorite towns. But yeah, I agree. UFC fans are a lot less rednecky than people would think they would.
Oh, yeah.
be. There's a lot of like Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was at the last one. He's a huge UFC fan. He made it up to Sacramento to catch out last weekend. There's a lot of really smart people that are into it. It's just so goddamn exciting. That's why.
It is exciting. When you went to you got tickets for me to the Palm.
Yeah.
And the reality of it hit me, you know, because it's violent. You know, remember that guy like the Tasmanian devil who just ran up and flipped over.
John Dodson.
How do you beat somebody like that? You can't even see him.
Yeah, he's a fucking freak.
But
athletic
one of the
freak.
guys got knocked out, and his wife and his mother were sitting like right here, like just one row above and one seat over. And that made it so real because we know it's human beings. We know they're really getting hurt.
Wow.
But when you hear the mother and the wife going, "Johnny, is he okay?" And they run up to it's like I mean that's what makes it exciting because there's a reality to it.
Yeah, that's hard to watch. Girlfriends crying, wives crying,
Yeah.
moms crying. That's hard to watch.
But he didn't. This wasn't his first fight.
Right.
But still, it's just that moment. But I thought to myself, this is so real, so cool. There's nothing fake. I mean, because I always think professional wrestlers, these guys are doing so much dangerous shit for a phony act.
Yeah.
They're flipping over. They're fucking 300 pounds doing flips in the air. They can still get hurt.
They get hurt a lot. Let me tell you something. Anybody that thinks that professional wrestling is easy, it's probably one of the hardest jobs in show business. And although the outcomes might be determined in advance, like the skill level involved in pulling off that stuff and the physicality, and those guys are doing it 300 nights a week, or 300 nights a year rather. They're out there hoofing. I mean, that's a fucking hard job. Those guys are performing in front of this one crowd after another, doing flips and all this crazy shit, slamming each other, hitting each other for real.
Yeah,
just
but I
not,
like the UFC much. I like.
yeah.
I like the reality of it.
100%.
I know it's dangerous. I know that they're good athletes, but the idea of these guys, and when they get them in that with the what is it, the scissor thing with the heads between the legs?
Triangle.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And then they're done.
Yeah,
It's
not always. Guys get out of triangles. If a triangle's not executed, especially if a guy's legs are tired, depends on who gets you there too.
Imagine. That would be my nightmare to wake up and be in a fucking ring with one of those guys bearing down on me.
Well, you were stuck looking at his balls in a triangle.
But me looking being in the shape that I'm in. Just having to fight one of those guys. How long? What's he gonna do? Kill me? Maybe he'll have mercy, just break my ribs.
Well, you're definitely better off getting hit in the body than in the head. If you can cover your head up and take one to the body and go down, do that.
Okay, thanks. Good.
Cover the head.
I
Very
remember
important.
I had a dream that I made the NFL, and I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? I can't fucking. What if I get hit? And then it turned into I was in the Super Bowl and I was a receiver. I thought, fuck, I can catch 3 passes for touchdown. It went from this crazy fear to this. I got cocky.
That's funny. Strange dream about being in a situation like that where you're not qualified.
Because it was a kickoff. I thought, fuck, I don't want to return a kick.
Yeah, my dream if it was that would be I was in a Formula One race car. Like, oh, fuck,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't drive one of these fucking things. Oh, Jesus. Guys just flying by
Well, you
you.
drive pretty wild anyway.
I'm a pretty controlled
You're a very
Dominic.
good driver. How do you get away with not getting tickets?
I drive pretty controlled.
No, really. You just
That's what I do. I drive very fast cars, but I don't drive them very fast.
yeah. You ever let one go?
A little bit every now and again.
What's the highest you ever got up to?
I'm not into going like high speeds. The kind of cars that I like are cars that handle really well. I like feeling the mechanics of the machine. I'm just a huge dork when it comes to engineering and human ingenuity. I love when people create incredible things. And I've had cars, you know, my whole life, from the time when I was, my first car I got, I think when I was 16 to today, I've always had performance cars. Like my first car was a 1973 Chevelle SS. It broke the day after I got it. The fucking engine seized. A piece
Did
of
it
shit.
really?
I was a hunk of shit. I had to get it towed back to the guy I bought it from. He sold me a lemon. That son of a bitch.
You never got it fixed?
That son of a bitch. No, I never got it fixed. I went from there and I got another car that was a 1968 442 with a 400 cubic inch engine. I've always been fascinated by engines and power and handling. But I'm not a guy who likes to drive. I don't do anything stupid. I'm not like driving sideways down a residential street or you know, doing anything nutty. I just love the idea that someone figured out a way to make a car that handles like a Porsche does. I love the feeling, the connection to the road and the mechanics of the whole thing. I like feeling the weight on the steering wheel and the tires digging into the corner and the flatness of the vehicle as it makes a corner, experiencing all that G-force. I'm just fascinated by it. So I don't want to drive like an asshole. I don't want to put anybody in danger or anything like that. I just enjoy the engineering and the feeling of just the power of those things.
I've had minor whiplash from riding with you, but other than that, my first car was a Chevy 2 with it was three on the column.
Wow.
You ever see
Old
those?
school.
1, 2, 3.
Wow.
And I was such a bad driver. My friends used to blame it on the car. They used to call it the Buckaroo because I was so bad at letting
the clutch out.
And then I'd like peel out from a toll booth and stall. People are beeping at me. I was so fucking bad.
Those shifting a manual transmission on the column's not easy. That's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It feels way more normal to do it in that standard H pattern on the floor.
Yeah.
The columns are fucking strange.
Yeah, I don't even think they make them anymore.
Oh, they definitely don't make them on the column that I know of. I've never driven one. Now that I think about it.
You know what? I remember a push button one.
Oh yeah.
Where you push drive, you push reverse.
Right.
Like on the left side of the steering wheel.
Oh yeah, I remember that. What car had that?
I think it was like a Dodge or a Plymouth or one of those.
You know who had a 3 on the column recently? Bill Burr.
Really?
He's got an old fucking pickup truck. Really old. And he loves this thing. He loves it. And he brought it to the Ice House one day. And when he did the podcast, we were out. He was just showing me around it. And it's like all, he had it refurbished and engine brought back to life and everything. And the thing was just so archaic. I go, how good are the brakes? He goes, they're fucking terrible.
Did I tell you what he did to me about getting on his podcast?
What did he do?
So fucking funny. Bill, I love Bill. He's so nuts, and we're all nuts. And he goes, Dom, I don't have many people on the podcast. I really like you to do it. I said, yeah, Bill, definitely, I'd love to do it. And then I go, like about, 5 or 6 minutes later, we're talking, and I said, I'm in town next Tuesday and Wednesday. He goes, hey, you don't put the full court press on. I'll get you on the show. I go, you asked me, motherfucker. The full court press. Come on, Bill.
He's one of my favorite guys because
he's great.
He's not just a really funny guy. He also, I have a warm spot for Bill Burr style comedy because he to me is like a quintessential Boston comic, like the angry Boston. And he looks like a Boston
redhead
guy too. So it's perfect.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I have a definite affection for those guys, and I think I told you this before. They took care of me when I went up there.
Oh, they loved you. They had a lot of respect for you. But you were one of the few guys that they could do the Boston Shuffle on, and it didn't bother you at all. Like the time that I told you I saw you, that I paid to see you, it was you, and there was Gavin and Steve Sweeney on the show.
Kenny Rogerson.
You still slayed. But you even joked about it. You like, you guys have been a good crowd. I was excellent. You know?
I had to follow these fucking monsters.
And you were talking about one joke that you like. I don't feel you laughed hard enough at this one joke. Like, I forget what the joke was, but you were like admonishing the crowd for not. But they did appreciate. It was a joke that you weren't. It wasn't the joke didn't bomb. You were just fucking with them.
Could have given me more.
Yeah, you could have given me a little bit more for that. It was just in the moment. It was brilliant. But it was you were one of the few guys that they really appreciated that, because when they would put the Boston Shuffle on you, you didn't give a fuck. You didn't care who went out before you. You had all smiles. You were laughing, and then you went up and did your thing. And I got to see that. I think as a young guy, I think that helped me a lot.
It's interesting that you would have even noticed that at the time.
Oh, I was watching. I wasn't necessarily committed to doing open mics or anything like that.
But I mean, the fact that you even noticed the following thing.
Oh, I knew it. I was like, everybody knows that. Like, how are you going to follow this? Like, I remember the Jerry Lee Lewis show, the Jerry Lee Lewis story. Jerry Lee Lewis had to go on stage before...
Little Richard? I know it was...
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
And he was furious that he wasn't the headliner act. So he went fucking crazy, put on the show of his life, and then lit the piano on fire. And then I remember the story was he went up to Chuck Berry and went, "Follow that, motherfucker."
Wow.
And went into the back room. Like, how do you follow that? The guy just not only is a bad motherfucker at the time. I mean, he was fantastic at the time.
That's why Chuck Berry started pissing on women.
His
anger.
He pushed him over the edge. I don't know. I think everybody's always known that, though. Like, if a guy's really good, it's hard to follow him.
Yeah, never fazed me. Like, I always focused and didn't think about. I mean,
if you're funny, you're funny.
Yeah.
And this is an adjustment period sometimes in between comics where a guy would take, there's a big super response for a guy, and then he'll take the next guy, a minute or two to get him into his groove, and then he starts getting them to laugh, and then they fall into his act. I
like to follow strong acts. That's why, like your show at the Ice House, it's always somebody good you're following.
Yeah, that's a murderer's row.
So I like it. I don't like following weak acts. I like the challenge.
Well, it's also what I like is an audience that's having a good time. I don't want anyone to sit through a middle act that they feel like is mediocre. And I also know that dirty trick of there's a lot of guys who are good acts, but they take terrible acts on the road on purpose because they don't want anybody to follow to show them up. They want to look like they're superheroes. So they bring this guy that's a terrible opener. I bring the best openers I can get, the best people available.
Although I do enjoy following like Brian Callen because he gets them to the point where they're almost laughing, and then he loses them. I'm kidding. He's
fucking hilarious.
He is hilarious.
He's going on with me in Vegas.
Oh, is he?
This is our show in Vegas. Joey Diaz, Ari Shaffir, Brian Callen, and then me.
That's a great show.
It's going to be insane.
I want to come on one of them.
That's at the Mirage.
I'd love to come on one of them.
Oh, dude,
I don't care about the money, just to fuck
Let's
around.
do it. Fuck yeah. Let's schedule one. You want to do a Vegas one, or you want to do somewhere else?
One where there's a fight involved.
Okay. Well, there's one Tom Segura and I are doing. No, Ari Shaffir and I are doing Chicago, January 24th. I don't know if you're doing anything.
I think
you want to freeze your dick off in Chicago. I
think I'm in Knoxville. I got a gig. I'm in Tampa in the middle of January, and I think the next week I'm in Knoxville. But I'll check with you, see what.
This is a great place we play pool at in Chicago.
Oh, really?
Too. It hasn't changed since 1950.
I wasn't as bad as I thought I was going to be last week.
It was not bad. You played good. You got
For
some
me.
good outs.
Yeah, a couple.
You've got concentrated. You dug in. You dug your heels in.
Remember you tried to tell me about my hand shaking? I go, Joe, it shakes.
Well, it's just if you prop yourself up on your bridge hand and your fingers, it's more easy for your hand to shake than if you plant it down. You should always plant it down whenever possible.
I tried, but I got something wrong with my shoulder. Look at this.
Yeah.
Wait, see, you see it moving?
Yeah, it starts shaking if you get too high. Is it hurt?
No,
when you lift your
not
shoulder
at all.
Up? It just shakes.
I went to a chiropractor, and he said, he says it's not worth the operation.
I think a lot of chiropractors might as well be voodoo doctors.
Ooh.
Yeah, I touch you and you heal. I went to a guy who was what they call a healer. He was a healer. He claimed to be a chiropractor.
For what, your back?
For everything. He would go and just, people were like, oh, you got to work with this guy. He's a healer. Right. And I'd be like, a healer. Okay. He was a fucking chiropractor that was just hitting you with some positive energy mumbo jumbo talk.
Well, that's what I think about massages when they start making shit up. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? They're just eating up time. I hate massages.
Do you?
Yeah.
I need them for working out. When I work out a lot, I need them. I get those painful ones, those deep tissue ones where they break everything down.
But you know me, Joe. Dancing's my life.
Dancing is
That's
you.
how I relieve any tension, any stress.
Dancing.
Dancing.
Dancing machine. The Dom Irrera dancing
So I
machine.
got you tonight too.
Yeah, we're gonna be here tonight.
We got,
doing shows here at the Laugh Factory.
I love that you come in, man. I
love
appreciate it.
It was fun. Last one I did was a good time, man. I'm trying to do a lot of stand up right now too. I got my special's gonna come out on Comedy Central. My last one that I filmed on my own, which is about 2 years old now, and I'm getting ready to do my next one.
Oh, good.
So I sold the one that I produced, and I just sold it on the internet, and then I sold it to Comedy Central. So that's gonna be on in February.
You got so much bigger balls. Finish your thought.
No, it's okay. I'm just getting ready to do another one, I think.
You got so much bigger balls than I have with new material, because what I do is I do like extend bits and write new that way.
Right.
I don't take the risk you take of going completely new. Like I do it if I think of something funny enough, but I mean I notice like you'll just go off on a completely different subject, and I'm going like I'll have like 3 or 4 new minutes to an old bit. But I build that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't do it any other way.
Oh, that's great.
Because I know the beginning's going to suck. They always suck in the beginning. Like, some bits are great right out of the box, but that's the aberration. The standard bit is weak in the beginning. But you have to try them out on stage. You have to find the holes in them. And then you got to, every now and then, a new line comes up while you're on stage, and then boom, it flourishes, and then it becomes 10% stronger. And then I grow them, and then one day they become something that I could put on a CD or you got
to do something for me, though.
What?
You got to promise me that you will somehow put new rules back into your act. Just because I swear to Joe, your fucking neck, your head actually got longer, like in Beetlejuice.
I used to love doing that. That
New
was a
rules.
bit I did about Nicole Smith. That was way back in 1999.
Wow.
My first CD. I put it on my first CD, and then I kind of stopped doing it. But yeah, that was a bit about J. Howard Marshall, who was the old man that that married Anna Nicole Smith, and then did whatever he did with her until he died, and then she was struggling to try to get his money and the whole. It was a crazy story.
How did new rules come up though?
He was telling her she's got to lick his balls. And she was saying, Sugar, I would love to, but visiting hours between 9 and 11. And they're kicking me out. It's 12 o'clock. And he goes, guess what? I just bought the hospital. New rules. Lick my balls 24 hours a day. This whole thing about just getting her to do ridiculous sexual shit to him before he died. Because he was dying. And there was no, why else would he marry this, buxom beauty?
Of course.
Just to violate her in every way possible before he died. That was the joke was that, that's how you go out.
Yeah, just new rules. She tried to seduce Harry Basil.
Really?
I was doing a film with Rodney, one of Rodney's last films, and she dressed up in a negligee, and Harry came in. Now, Harry's really faithful to his wife Laura, and I mean, that ain't gonna happen, And she tried to be like, come on to him, and she was terrible on the set apparently. And I thought she was kind of hot.
She's hot in a big girl way.
Yeah, I like that big girl thing.
Sloppy, crazy girl.
See, that's the kind of whore. I mean, not that she's a whore, but that's the kind of girl I would pay for, because I wouldn't normally go out with them.
Right.
Because I'd feel like a monkey or something walking with them that much bigger than me.
Right.
But that's what I would pay for. I would never.
How big was she?
She was like 6 foot.
Wow.
In heels, so she was like
Crazy
6'5". Yeah.
God
and
damn.
she was thick, I mean,
that's about a 175, 180 pounder then, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a big woman, Dom.
Yeah.
Woo.
Big ass.
That's a struggle.
Not
Got
for
that
me,
big
Joe.
crazy one on top of you.
On top
You got to
of
be
me.
careful if they're on top. They'll break your dick.
Really?
Yeah, they come down too hard. They get crazy, and it comes out a little bit and catches the taint and bends backwards. When you're dealing with a girl who's 175 pounds,
Listen to him. He knows what
it's
he's talking
very
about.
important that if you're going to let her on top, that you get an underhook. You got to get an underhook. I prefer the left side, underhook, and I'll actually physically hold their hips like this, like a grappling position, like I'm about to take their back. So when they go up and down, I don't let them get too high. If they try to get higher than that, I'm like, nope. I know how long my
Can
dick
you actually
is.
have your dick broken?
Yeah, you can. That's what I'm not joking. I've never had it, but there have been people.
He had
that
a broken heart.
I had a broken heart that
Because of his broken
affected
dick.
my dick. If someone comes down on your dick and it catches the taint and it's with enough force,
Taint.
it literally can break your dick. And then
I like the way you say the
your
taint,
dick
like
bleed.
everybody
it's
gets
like
it.
a medical term.
Go
The taint. Most people know what the taint is by
Taint
now.
asshole, taint balls.
Yeah, they know what it
That
is.
Taint.
And it actually breaks your dick and it bleeds, and then you have to go to the hospital and get it repaired. And it may have a permanent bend to it for the rest of your life.
Permanent hook?
Permanent hook. Yeah, guys have had like their dicks really fucked up from sex. Yeah, you can get hurt.
Did you ever come so much you don't have anything left?
Any like thinking or
No,
what?
any jizz left?
Ever?
No, just for like 8 hours or so. Ever. No, because
you definitely run out.
when I was
and
with
you
this
build
one
up
girl,
again.
I mean, she should have not blown me at the end because she goes, "What the fuck?"
That's it.
There was like a dribble. I mean,
Right.
it was like 4 times, and one
Right.
that was it.
Did you tell her, look, it still felt good. That's all I had though.
Yeah, that's that
That's
little
all I got
shake.
for you.
But I mean, the thing is, I would like jerk but not come,
Mhm.
like just to have like more jizz for the first couple times.
Does it work that way? Do you build up reserves that way?
Yeah. If you want to get like seriously, if you want to get like the biggest load you can get,
Mhm.
you don't come for like 2 days, but you jerk off a little, but you don't off.
Oh, I see. So
Danny Vitale taught me that one
you
time.
put a lot of the troops in a holding cell.
Exactly.
And then
And they're building up, and then they're getting fucking
release
violent.
the hounds.
They're getting irritated.
Strategy. Come strategy with Dom Irrera.
See, Joe, maybe I can't teach you a lot about stand-up, but
You
about
could
come.
teach me a lot about building up loads. Superior, impressive loads.
I thought you said something so fascinating to me, and I totally believe you because I know you so well. You said I was saying about Joey getting famous,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was so interesting and cool that you said I don't even want to be more famous than I am now.
No, I like it right here.
It's perfect.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no need for... I actually like a little less than this. A little less than this would be nice.
Yeah,
I think it's foolish to try to pursue fame for no reason. And
really
all you
is.
want to be able to do is the best. I feel like the best life is you want to be able to do what you want to do for a living and not worry about your bills. That's the best
Yeah.
life. Everything other than that is gravy.
Yeah.
If you could do what you love to do, which is what you do and which is what
Yeah.
I do, everything else is gravy. My life doesn't get any more happy or less happy if I make more money. It just makes me more busy. I have more obligations.
well, you're a true stand-up, Joe. I mean, the fact is, if you got a movie career or whatever other avenue you ventured, you'd still be doing stand-up.
I would never stop.
Me neither.
Never stop. I'll go out like George Carlin. I'll do it to the end. It's what I do.
I tell you what Suzanne Summers said to me. I was doing She's the Sheriff, one of her show on Fox in the 80s.
She's the sheriff.
Yeah, I was terrible. I was fucking so bad. And she's such a good woman, and she was so much fun to work with. And they would ask me to go out. Now I didn't even drink in those days, and I go, I gotta work at a comedy store. And she goes, but you already have a job. Why are you going to work? I said, but this is like an aberration. This is like my side job. I'm really a stand-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They didn't get it.
They never get it. They never will get it. It's you have to when you're a stand-up, when you understand first of all how difficult it is to get to a place where you're actually making a living doing that, and then you understand that it also takes a lot of effort to maintain, not just get better, but maintain your comedy. And to get better, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of thinking. Some people never get that.
I never realized how quickly it happened for me because it didn't seem quick at the time. When I see guys here that say, well, I'm a newbie, I'm only in my 7th or 8th year. By my 7th or 8th year, I had HBO specials and shit.
That's interesting. Do you think that was because back then there was more work? Because, like, I know that I worked when I was on the East Coast in a way that a lot of these guys don't. Like, these guys that are coming up, especially in L.A., they're doing, like, little short sets. Like, they'll do, like, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But I would do, like, a half hour in a bar. Or 40 minutes sometimes in some places. Like the opening act would do 40 and the headliner would do 55, and that was the whole show. That was super common. And that was, that was the first 4 or 5 years of my life doing stand-up. So by the time I was living in New York, And like by the time I was on HBO in '94, I'd been doing comedy for 6 years.
Yeah.
I'd been headlining for like 3 of
Right.
those.
So it didn't take you that long either.
No, I think it's a different thing for. Well, I wasn't that good. I had like a good. If I was headlining and I was doing 45 minutes, I might have had a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The rest of it was nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the advantage I had was I was an actor and an improv actor, so I already had stage presence. I just didn't have an act.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
came. The guys that I'm amazed at, or they come just from writing to performing. That's fucking hard.
That is hard.
Because like I had total confidence on stage. I just didn't have, I didn't realize that you really had to say the same shit over and over
Right.
to fine tune it, you know?
Well, my public speaking confidence came from teaching Taekwondo.
Sure.
I'd been teaching since I was 19.
Wow.
So I taught
So you
at
had
Boston
presence.
University. Yeah, I was teaching at BU. I teach a class, accredited class. Like it was a pass-fail A class.
Wow.
And I would tell everybody, I would go, listen, everybody's body's different. I go, if you just come here and try, just come here every day and try, you get an A. I go, that's a real A.
Yeah.
It's a real A that counts towards your GPA. So the only way you could fail is just not show up or, not tell me why you can't show up.
Did you get any hot chicks?
Yeah. One.
One?
Yeah. Yeah. One. She was so crazy, though. Oh, my God. But
Really? A crazy hot chick? I never
yeah,
met
she
one
was
of them.
really crazy. She was from another country, too. She was a savage. It was fun, though. But the...
I used to like when you used to say she's a good kid.
She's a good kid. That's a Boston expression.
Is it?
That's my buddy Jim DiTilio. That's where it came from. Like who talk about like some really dirty girl, and he'd go, "What a good kid."
Oh, that's so dirty. It's so sexy, but like weird, perverted.
Kid. Oh yeah. Look at what. I grew up with some savages, man. Those fucking Boston guys dealing with that cold weather, those long winters.
When did you live in New York, Joe?
I lived in New York from I guess 90 to 94.
But I mean, when you were a kid, you lived in Boston or New York?
I was born in New Jersey. I
Okay.
lived in Jersey from age 1 to 7. I lived in San Francisco from 7 to 11, and then Florida from 11 to 13, and then Boston from 13 to 24.
What did your father do? You're moving around so much.
He went back to school. My mom hooked up with my stepdad when I was 7, and I guess they hooked up like a little earlier than that. But they moved to San Francisco. My stepdad was a computer programmer, and he decided that he wanted to be an architect. So he went to school to study architecture.
So your parents broke up around the same time mine did, like when you were 7?
Oh yeah, I was 7 when my mom hooked up officially with my stepdad, I think. But I was 5 when they broke up.
I'm always amazed when I meet comedians who come from a solid nuclear family.
They suck, don't they?
Because we all have, draw from that pain and that trauma and whatever.
I was just talking to Duncan Trussell about that on the way up here. Because Duncan was talking to me about this crazy spiritual retreat that he did.
I got to get him on the show.
He's the best. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I did that show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything with Duncan. And one of my favorite parts of the show was just hanging out with Duncan.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's
Remember
so
when he used to
funny.
book the Comedy Store?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, well, that's when we became friends. I used to call up the Comedy Store to leave my availabilities.
Uh-huh.
And Duncan was the guy who would answer the phone.
Right.
And I would say, hey, man, I'm in town Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm like, what are you up to? And he's like, dude, I'm reading this crazy book about the Tibetan death rituals. And, he would just talk about some weird shit that he was into this week. And he would, we would have these crazy conversations over the phone that would last like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just calling into the Comedy Store.
I didn't even know he wanted to be a comedian. I go,
Really?
no, because he never mentioned it to me. And we were friends on the phone too, and we didn't talk that long, but we were always friendly and buddies. And then all of a sudden, he was going out with a girl who was a comedian. Mm-hmm. I forget, the little beautiful little girl.
Yeah.
And then he had a puppet, and there he go, now he's.
I don't know where he started. I feel like he started back in North Carolina.
I know
but
he
I
did the
might
store.
be wrong. Well, he definitely did the store, but I don't know if he started at the store.
No, because when he was working there, I don't think he did this. I mean, unless he did nights when I wasn't in, like those Monday and Sunday and Monday nights.
We first became friends in like the late '90s or the early 2000s. That's when That's when Duncan and I think I was either just getting on Fear Factor when he started working there, or I was just getting off of news radio. Either one. But he was a young, fresh-faced kid, full of crazy ideas, and just a refreshing guy to talk to. Because I would talk to him, and he would always have some new thing that he was into that was really bizarre, and he would steer you towards a great book or some weird thing that you should watch, some documentary that'll blow your mind.
Right.
He's just
he's a smart guy.
He's very smart, and he's also just really curious. You know, Duncan loves like new things. Like he loves talking to you about fascinating concepts. And he's just not just a smart guy. He's a guy who's just like really curious about everything. He's always questioning things and looking into things, you know.
He doesn't do the puppet anymore?
No, someone stole that fucking puppet, man. We did England together, and he
Somebody
brought the
stole
puppet.
his puppet? What a fucking...
Yeah, assholes. They stole the puppet. He got a second puppet, but it just wasn't the same. He replaced the
he didn't
puppet.
grow up with it.
Well, the first puppet was so creepy, too.
Yeah, it was creepy.
It was so creepy, like, and it fit with that crazy act.
Imagine how funny it was for me that I never knew he wanted to be a stand-up. All of a sudden I see him like with an X-rated puppet act.
Well, the puppet was so evil, too. It was just such a strange act.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite puppet sketches ever. It's a funny thing. We were just talking about that, how you don't see those ventriloquist acts anymore. Jeff Dunham and Peanut kind of crushed the ventriloquist market.
Yeah. You know, I did a joke about him last night.
Jeff Dunham?
Yeah, because I said he's arrogant. Maybe I told you this before. I said he's arrogant, and you can't be arrogant and have puppets. You can either be arrogant or have puppets. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have a fucking attitude.
How is he arrogant?
He is. You get off the court, you got to meet him. He's a very smug, arrogant, aloof guy.
A lot of those guys, I think that shit's just a defense mechanism. It's
Yeah, but I
probably
mean,
just
you're a
weirdo
fucking
with
ventriloquist.
no
How can
friends.
you be cocky as a ventriloquist?
Well, he sold a lot of fucking tickets.
Oh, good
That
for
guy
him.
sold a lot of tickets. He's one of the more successful touring stand-ups pretty much ever.
See, I compare people that that get angry at that as just like professional wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they actually get angry at the puppet. That's how fucking dumb they are. That fucking terrorist puppet.
Well, Otto and George, his puppet got stabbed.
Oh, that's a great story, isn't it?
It was fucking with some Puerto Rican kid in the audience, and he wouldn't stop. He was
Called him a
just
spick. He called him a spick.
Guy
Hey, you
stabbed
fucking
the
spick.
puppet.
Hey, you cockroach. Well, we had him on Full Frontal Comedy, and it was one of the best scenes we had. The puppet was late for the show, and he's walking in. He's going, "Hey, how you doing there? Hey, Toots, look at that fucking twat." You know, he's looking up her dress and all. Fucking whore. You know, and then they have this big fight, and the puppet says, you're nothing without me. You know, it was really funny.
That's funny. That's a great idea. He doesn't get enough attention, that guy, Otto and George.
He never will. You know, I mean, his drug problems are too deep, and he just can't be successful. He's where he's at because of a reason, and I love the guy, but you know.
Well, I don't know if you're right, but I know I've fucking died laughing listening to that guy on several occasions.
Her vagina looked like a wallet. I was rocketing yoo-hoo out of my ass. He has lines that are so fucking old. Does Rose Kennedy have a black dress? Who the fuck's making Kennedy
Rose
references?
Kennedy jokes. Well, yeah, I don't know if he still does that, but he had some shit that you can't repeat too. He had some really racist stuff.
Oh yeah,
it was just so over the top. It was so crazy.
I used to like when the puppet would go, "You see this waitress? She's a fucking whore," and his eyes would open up and his neck would come up, almost like New Rules.
The eyebrows would like lift up in the air. They were enormous eyebrows.
Did I tell you
they
that?
would come down too? They were big bushy things.
Did I tell you a story about Montreal when the string broke on the puppet's neck?
Oh no.
What happened was we're watching the show, and he's doing great. And he did 20 minutes. He's supposed to be 20, 25. The puppet breaks, and he panics. And Bobby Slayton was the host. He goes, "Bobby, can you come back up? Band, can you play something? There's something wrong with George." You know, and he gets like really fucking crazy. And he storms off stage. So Messina goes, "Go talk to him. He likes you." I go back there. It was so unreal, Joe. The puppet, his head is all the way back. The mouth's open. And he's talking to it. And he goes, "Of all times, you got to let me down here in Montreal, you motherfucker." You know, and it's like, you know what I mean? And I said,
"Wow,
Otto, you know,
that's
like
some
almost
Twilight Zone shit."
Yeah, like you're walking in with a guy with a gun on his own head. I go, "Otto, it's all right, man." I said, "You did great. You know, he goes, really, Dom? I'm telling you, you did enough time. They don't know. They think that you storming off stage was an act, so everything's cool. And then I calmed him down. Then he tied the strings together and the mouth was moving. Everybody was happy.
That's funny. Did you ever see that Twilight Zone episode where the guy has a puppet that talks him into robbing places?
Yeah, very eerie.
Yeah, very eerie. Especially at the time. Like someone tried to tell me the other day, I tell people how much I enjoyed the old Twilight Zones, and someone was like criticizing it online. Like, come on, those are terrible. Like, who watched them? They're shit. I'm like, maybe today, when you're looking at it today in the context of 2013, but if you thought about 1960, when these things came out.
Yeah.
Like, they're fascinating.
They're
fascinating.
I love
People
the one.
Were children then.
Yeah, the relativity of beauty. Remember that one? Where everybody had like dog faces?
Yes.
And these people that look like what we would consider like movie star looking people were considered outcasts, and they were sent to this like farm for ugly people.
Yeah, that's right.
That was cool.
Well, they were. It was so groundbreaking in that way. They covered so many weird ideas. It was so original.
You know,
just stop and think about like all the different things that they covered on that show. Like interesting, like the guy who the one who Burgess Meredith played, who got to the end of the movie and he just wanted to be left alone so he could read his books.
Oh yeah, and the glasses broke.
Yeah, his glasses broke.
Oh yeah, there was a nuclear holocaust,
Yeah.
and apparently it didn't cause any damage to him. He was in the safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was
And
dead.
he stepped on the glasses, and that was his eternity.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? The Midnight Sun, because it's about what we were talking about earlier. The Midnight Sun was, they're in this apartment in New York, and the heat, the sun, the Earth fell out of its orbit, right? We were talking about. You remember this one?
No.
The Earth fell out of its orbit, and every day was getting hotter, and people were moving to Canada, and they were running out of water. Long story short, at the end, she wakes up, and it's really just the opposite. Every day is getting colder. The Earth's moving away from the sun. So her nightmare, because she had a fever, was that it was getting hotter, but it just showed you how fragile it is.
Yeah.
You know, you got to check that one out.
Wow, that one sounds amazing. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you think about how fragile the environment is. That the Earth varies. Like if you go to a place like Anchorage, Alaska, it's beautiful there in the summertime.
Yeah.
But it varies from that, which is very easy to walk around in during nighttime, daytime, to 20, 30 degrees below zero.
Yeah.
So which you'll die.
Which is deadly. Yeah.
You're dead.
And then if you go 20 degrees above 100, you're dead.
Yeah, but here in LA, it doesn't fucking vary at all. I mean, it goes from like 70 to 90. It gets, got 100. Woo!
Yeah.
It got 50. Holy shit.
Fritz Coleman, the LA weatherman.
Yeah.
It's going to be 72 tomorrow, going down to 62. It's like always the same shit. Yeah.
It's the same shit. But if you're in a place like Anchorage, Alaska, you really feel how much of a change there can be just with the seasonal variations. It's a big fucking difference, man. I mean, and that's just the same spot. It's the same place. Mm-hmm. It's just, it gets to a point where it's not being affected by the sun in the same way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same kind of heat, and that's just the way it is. And you realize, like, we could just move a little bit further out of orbit. Things get a little weirder. You get a little bit closer to the sun. Well, either one would be fucking terrible.
Yep.
And we'd be done.
That's why we write jokes for a living, Joe.
Exactly.
To bring joy to these fucking helpless people.
Well, they say that our atmosphere wouldn't be nearly as stable as it is if it wasn't for our moon. Our moon is one of the things that allows life to grow on Earth the way it is. Yeah. Because the moon keeps the gravity, keeps our orbit steady.
So do you think there's a supreme being involved in this?
I'm not convinced that this is all going on without some sort of a direction, but I'm not convinced that there's a supreme being either. I leave open the possibility that if you just look at what we do know, for sure, they know weird things like subatomic particles blink in and out of existence. They exist in a superposition, which means they can be moving and still at the same time. There's weird things that we can't explain about the observer effect on quantum particles, that that things actually react differently when they're being observed. There's a lot of weirdness to the world. The fact that atoms are mostly nothing. Almost everything that we touch, everything, is made out of something which is almost entirely nothing.
Well, yeah, and the movement of the atoms is what gets me, because we seem to be sitting in a stable room, yet everything's really moving.
Yeah, everything, constantly. But yet that looks
This
like
is
a
how
wooden
comedians
table.
usually talk, by the way.
All the time. I mean, but that looks like a wooden table. This looks like a cup of coffee, but it's not. It's just a series of molecules and atoms. And it's all just what we know about reality is so fucking bizarre and weird that I wouldn't be surprised if the entire universe is fucking bizarre and weird. And the most bizarre and weird thing could be that the whole thing is being run by a power, or engineered, designed by a power. But what that power is, I don't think it's a guy in the clouds with a harp, but I think it's very possible that it might be a force, that it might be, there might be a reason.
I think there's a
why
consciousness to it, though.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
There's something going on that's always been going on, and that something seems to be a move towards ever-increasing complexity. From the Big Bang to now, from 100 years ago to today, from today until 10 years from now, it's ever increasing complexity, whether it's ever increasing problems as far as our pollution of the atmosphere, whether it's global warming, whether it's increasing the potential of technology. There's ever increasing changes, and they're constantly going on. And I think that's happened in the whole universe from the beginning. I mean, if you think about everything was like just hot gases and explosion and particles, and then they cooled down and became planets, and then life formed on planets. Just things keep getting more and more complex.
Yeah.
And I think that seems to be a law of the universe, that things keep moving towards deeper and deeper complexity. And I think somewhere in that lies us. We're this weird thing that the universe has created that changes the universe. We're this weird thing that engineers its own environments, that changes the actual physical environment that it lives in, and then alters even the very planet it's on, and then even puts things on other planets. I mean, we're the fucking weirdest thing that the universe has ever created, if we're the only thing like us. But I think just that alone is so strange and bizarre. The idea that it might be serving some sort of a higher purpose. It's not outside the realm of possibility. It's never been proven. But I think there's so much about life that's strange. It wouldn't be that strange to me if there was some sort of a power running.
It's hard
the
to
whole
believe
thing.
that nobody else is in the universe.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But the universe itself is hard to believe. It's hard to believe at all. It's so crazy. I mean, if you really stop and think about what 13 billion light years is, like
It's unfathomable.
yeah, we can't wrap our head around it.
I can't wrap my head around that it's endless.
I can't wrap my head around how far that Voyager is that's gone past Pluto.
Yeah.
It can't even see Earth. You know, you look at the photos it takes of Earth, it's like a little tiny spot in the distance. Like, and it keeps going, and now it's out there. It's going to keep going out there.
Is that the one that's going to Mars?
It's past Mars.
Oh, it's past Mars?
It's past, I'm talking, I think I'm calling it the right name. I'm pretty sure Voyager is the one that's out past Pluto. And it's out near the galactic shelf now. It's near the Kuiper Belt. There's some.
Ay caramba!
Ay caramba! There's some massive object out there that they're actually hoping that they discover. There's something called the Kuiper Belt, which is what Pluto's a part of. That's why they had to declassify Pluto as a planet, because they kept finding more pieces that are like Pluto that are out
really?
there, that are like 3/4 of the size of Pluto, half the size of Pluto.
Yeah. So what is that? Yeah.
Well, they go, what are these things? And then they've decided, well, these are not planets. These are just large objects in this
They're
belt.
not asteroids.
No, the Kuiper Belt is this belt of objects. And the weird thing about it is that it drops off, which indicates to the people who understand what I'm talking about, because I sure don't, it indicates to a lot of these astronomers that there's some massive object that's out even further than that, and that what it actually might be is a brown dwarf star, that our star might have a twin. Apparently, binary star systems, meaning star systems with two stars, not just one, are very common, even as common.
Like they have two suns?
Yeah, two suns
Wow.
instead of one, are just as common as ones that don't. And so it might be that we have a star out there that we can't see anymore because it's a brown dwarf now, but it's a massive piece of something that's floating out in space. We just not giving off any light. It's too far away for us to see, but its gravity is affecting all the different things around it, and it might be responsible for this whole Kuiper Belt and then galactic shelf.
You want to go to Greenblatt's and have a Danish?
And so I know I get crazy about astronomy.
No, I love when you talk about that. It's so interesting.
It's unbelievably fascinating, and that ain't shit. You know, I mean, this is just one. Our entire solar system is just one little tiny solar system that's a part of this enormous galaxy. That's a part of this enormous web of galaxies.
Yeah.
It's impossible for us to even wrap our head around it slightly.
I can't imagine light years.
Yeah, there's something out there.
But if light travels 186,000 miles per second, how can 1,000 years of that speed and you don't hit anything?
Oh, yeah.
Ay, Joey.
Millions of years.
Let's go to the deli.
It's so crazy, Dom Irrera. But it's fascinating. To me, it's one of the most fascinating things about life on Earth is that we don't discuss it. Is that it's out there.
Because I don't think we can live a normal life and be in that kind of head.
I can. I think we can. I
Really?
think guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson can, and you know, these astronomers and the people that are studying it can. I think you can. I think we don't. A lot of it is because we're in cities and we have a lot of light pollution that we deal with because of cities. You don't see the stars.
Yeah.
But when you get to see the stars, like
You
when you go
start to
somewhere.
relate to it more.
I was in Wisconsin a couple weeks ago with Brian Callen with deer hunting.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
The nights were just filled with stars.
Did you ever see the
Fucking beautiful.
Aurora Borealis?
Never seen that.
That's
Heard
cool.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I was on tour with Cher, and we're up in Western Canada, and it would happen. And we just pulled the tour buses over and watched it. You can't fucking believe it.
Apparently, I think Norway or Sweden. I forget the place. I think it might be Switzerland. One of those places I'm not going. They have they rent glass igloos just specifically so
see
people
that?
can go to sleep and watch the
Wow.
Aurora Borealis. It's just fucking incredible.
Joseph Rogan, thank you for being on the show.
Dom
my brother.
Herrera, it's always a pleasure, my brother.
Joe Rogan,
my
we're
friend
going to
for
be like in 3 weeks?
3 weeks. I'm at the Mirage in Vegas, December 27th, and then Hollywood Improv for New Year's Eve.
Oh, are you? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
me and the great Tony Hinchcliffe. He's a fucking hilarious
That's
kid.
great.
Have you been
Yeah,
paying attention
yeah.
to that kid?
I love Tony.
That kid's fucking legit. He's
Yeah.
funny as shit.
He is funny.
As is
He's got that
Sam
proper
Tripoli.
attitude.
Yeah.
Sam Tripoli?
Who's also
I'm
fucking
gonna be
hilarious.
I'm gonna be in Providence with
Beautiful.
the Italians. Look, I feel like I'm at a family reunion.
Providence.
New Year's Eve.
That Comedy Connection.
Comedy Connection.
Still a Comedy Connection. It's a new owner, right?
Yeah, I think it's still a Comedy Connection. They just kept the name.
That
It's
place
an
is
old
great.
bank.
Old
Remember
bank,
that?
yeah. There's a vault there. Actually,
Yeah.
the green room's
that's
in the
what
vault.
the green room, right?
Yeah, that place is great.
I'm at the Hard Rock for the 30th. I'm at Captain Brian's. Did you ever do Captain Brian's?
You at the Hard Rock in Florida.
Yeah, the Hard Rock in Florida.
Yeah. Let people know that's a great club. That's
Yeah.
in Fort Lauderdale.
But I got, like I said, Tampa, and I hope I'm going to do your podcast hopefully in a couple
Anytime.
weeks. Yeah.
You know, anytime. Just let me
Thanks.
know when you want to come on.
Yeah, it's amazingly powerful.
It's a lot of fun and totally unexpected. You know, that the podcast thing was something I never planned it out at
I
all.
never even knew about it, Joe, until you had like a hit. I didn't even know about podcasts. I had no idea what the fuck they were.
Yeah, it's the most fun thing that I do that I like. No one else has any control over it. I could just do it completely
Yeah.
on my own. I don't have to listen to a network. I don't have to listen to people say not to talk about this. Or,
Yeah. Well, podcasts like yours have taken a lot of power away from the networks because I know that when I'm on your show, I get 1,000 times more feedback than if I'm on a late night talk show.
Well, the people that are on, if someone's on my podcast, the people that listen to that podcast, like there's a great percentage of them, a large percentage of them that are like really into it, that listen to it all the time.
And they're really comedy club
Yeah.
fans.
They're really comedy club fans, and they're also people that are they're people that are stimulated by the podcast. They're stimulated by the ideas and
Yeah.
the different things that we discuss and all the different subjects that come up that they can go watch documentaries on or read about, and I think that engages people and they feel even more connected to it because they're getting something out of it. Not just entertainment, but they're also getting out these unique points of view. They're getting out these unique ideas, and they're getting exposed to all these really funny comedians. You know, they're getting exposed to guys like you and Joey Diaz and Ari Shaffir and Duncan. Joey Diaz is a fucking monster now.
I know.
And a lot of it is because of podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
I would say almost all of it is because of
Well, his
podcasting.
honesty and his fucking sense, it's great.
He's an animal. And his podcast is now getting about a million downloads a month.
Wow.
Yeah, he's getting a lot now. So it's really picking up for him. And Duncan, his podcast is very popular as well. And he's fucking fantastic at it. All these guys, they weren't being appreciated.
You're so good at spotting talent, though, when you think about it, because they're all so different.
Yeah.
It's not like you got one style. It's like that. They're all like Bill, you know. You say like,
Right.
but I mean that's amazing.
Well, I knew they weren't just weren't just funny, and they weren't all just my friends, but they were all guys that had their unique point of view.
What was the thing Ari used to do? Ask a Jew.
Yeah, he would. He would have ask a Jew, and he's not just a Jew. He's a Jew that went to religious school. He read the Talmud, 12 hours a day, and he was uber religious up until he was like in his early 20s. So like he would do this ask a Jew at a comedy club, and someone would yell out questions for him.
Yeah.
Dom Barris.
Yeah.
Dom Barris would yell.
I remember asking him questions.
Really racist, anti-Jew questions. And they would have these fake arguments. It was really fucking funny. But yeah, I always knew Ari had talent. I always knew Joey had talent, and I always knew Duncan had talent. It was just they weren't getting appreciated because they were so weird. Because Joey and Ari were really dirty, and when you're really dirty, it's hard to get people that want you to open for them. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants. You can't headline yet because nobody knows who you are, and you can't get a job as a middle act because nobody wants to follow a guy who's unbelievably filthy, like Shafir is or like Diaz is.
I'll tell you what Diaz said to me when we co-headlined the Ice House.
He
says, Dom Irrera. I said, what do you want to do, Joe? I'll open, I'll close, whatever you want. He goes, I'll tell you what, Dom Irrera. You go on the first show's close, and then I'll close the second show so you don't have to follow a fucking pig like me. And he meant it,
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Always a good time, my friend.
Thanks.